first one, just like 10, 25, 40 or whatever.
Yep. Here we are. We are live. Are you leaving, Mike, after this?
I don't think so. But there is just became a fire in the Hollywood Hills, which is very scary, and that's growing very fast. So we may have some friends that are around that area, like in like West Hollywood-ish. In case it spreads, like it's just so hard to know. It's been a crazy day. Luckily, we're not in any of the like very dangerous areas and stuff, but it just happens so quick because everything's so dry and the humidity is so low, and it's been so windy. It's not as windy anymore, but it's just like crazy. Like, it's like fire conditions are crazy. It's very, very sad and scary.
And no rain for a while hasn't helped that.
Hasn't been rain for a long time. Yeah.
My brother and sister live in West Hollywood. I talked to my brother a little bit ago. He seems to think at this point, like they seem okay, but I saw that fire
within
as
the last
well.
like half hour.
Yeah, I saw it.
Hills,
Yeah,
which makes it like dicey for people that had previously been in a decent place. It's crazy shit, man. Yeah. But let's do a Sixers podcast. Why not?
Well, not doing the Sixers podcast wouldn't stop the fire. I would tell you that. I would stop it in 1 second.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
brave of us.
Yeah.
If we had that power, we would use it.
Yeah.
That'd be such an interesting threat from the fire.
How would they deliver it?
This is the lever. The fire has a list of demands. One is that the Ricky cease and desist.
Okay.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say, after this game, maybe. If it was an important game, we'd have to have a conversation, I guess. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by BodyBio. Get 20% off any BodyBio order with promo code Norman. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I don't know. The Sixers played the Wizards, and they were both missing like 7 players. Sixers were up 16 with 4 minutes left. It was tie ball game with 30 seconds left. I don't know why we're doing this, to be honest with you. I don't know what the fuck this season's about. I don't know why Joel Embiid isn't playing. All right, we'll get into all that. New episode of the Draft Council came out yesterday, day late. Sorry, it's usually on Tuesdays. It was on Wednesday, or came out today. They checked in on some high school prospects, which sounds creepy, but this is what they do. So I actually think it's okay. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, I mentioned. Boy, do we love Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, and so can you. Big news, if you didn't know this, if you're in Pennsylvania, you used to have to go to a liquor store to get Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Not anymore. Any place you get alcohol now. So grocery store that sells alcohol, you get it there. A gas station, you can get it there. Beer distributor, you can get it there. You can get any of the varieties. And if they don't have the variety you like, then demand it. They all have 3 grams of sugar, 100 calories, whether it's the iced tea and vodka, the green tea and vodka, the lemonade and vodka, whatever it is. Find out more, or you can just order it at statesidevodka.com, but you got to be 21. And we got this note from Michael. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. I'm a longtime listener since 2020 and primarily a Portland Trailblazers fan. I started listening to you guys out of disgust with Ben Simmons and shared instances of heartbreak in ways that only Blazers and Sixers fans can have. In 2021, I started working with a new creative team, and one of my coworkers was a Philly guy named Matt. We bonded over hoops and frustrations with our teams and became buddies outside of work. Matt and his wife just had to say goodbye to their best buddy, a 15-year-old dog named Beans. It goes without saying that all dogs are good dogs, and Beans was one for sure. Matt and Layla woke up last week to a medical emergency with Beans and had to make the shittiest decision that every dog owner dreads. From over in Portland, our dog Wallace is looking up from his Barker Jr. with sympathy. Godspeed, Beans. You are the best boy. So there's Beans. If you are watching the pod on YouTube or Spotify, we want to send our love, of course, to Matt and Layla and Beans. look like a good doggy, and glad that you all were able to share so many years and so much love. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who wasn't ruled out for tonight's game, but maybe he should have been. That is Mike Levitt.
Yeah, Los Angeles, currently on fire. Friends evacuating. Luckily, we are in a place that is not any of the affected areas right now. So we're okay, but it is a very scary day. And very dumb to be watching a Sixers-Wizards game during this catastrophic event.
Not just
really questioning some life choices as I'm doing it. Really just truly dumb. Just as well, but why, what else? But what else would I,
yeah, what would you do?
How else would I die than in a
Right.
fire while watching the Sixers?
Well,
let a fucking weak Wizards team hang in there for too long. Great. Sure.
Not just a Sixers-Wizards game, but a Sixers-Wizards game missing the following: Joel Embiid, Paul George, Andre Drummond, KJ Martin, Kyle Lowry, Jared McCain, Jordan Poole, Malcolm Brogdon, Marvin Bagley, and Alex Sarr, and Kuzma played, right? Yes. And Tristan Vukovic and Johnny Davis. So missing, looks like 12 players. I think there's only 14 players, right, on an NBA team.
15.
So,
But the two ways.
Oh, right. Well, it's 13 in two ways, right? Is it
15 and 3 two ways.
15 and 3 two ways. I don't. Can I be honest with you? I think I've said this before occasionally, maybe in previous seasons, maybe in this season. These games, and Mike O'Connor wrote a thing today about the games, the Sixers being mediocre and boring, right? These games, I'm sort of in this spot where sometimes when I'm reading a book, I can look at the page and realize that I've read 7 pages and I don't know what happened in any of the pages. These games, as I'm watching them, my eyes are on them and I'm watching it, but I sort of drift off into nothingness watching the games. It's difficult to even focus on the basketball games right now because I don't even know what I'm supposed to be watching for. There was one point where it was Reggie Jackson, Adem Bona, Ricky Council, and I forget who the other guy was on the court.
Justin Edwards.
No, I thought I said Justin Edwards. Doughton. It was Doughton, Edwards, Bona, and I was like, Reggie Jackson. I was like, what are
How do we get here?
doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
A lot of unfortunate stuff had to happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I won't talk too much about the fires, but just watching the game, texting my friend like, "Hey, are you evacuating?" and then being like, "Oh, what a play from Yabusele!" Like, just writing it down. It's like, this is truly what a fucking world we live in, man.
I would say Yabusele is beautiful, man.
He's great, dude.
Yeah.
He's 21, 8 and 3. He was 5 of 7 from deep. It is really impressive how much better of a shooter he's gotten over the course of the year, and not only better, but just quicker and more decisive. And he needs less time to get it off, which is huge. The thing that Cape, we talked about on the broadcast last time, or on the podcast last time. Cape brought it up on the broadcast. Offensive rebounds off free throw misses.
Yeah.
What a unique skill that he has, that he can get in there quick and just like body the big and get positioning on there. One time he did it, kicked it out to him for a Maxey 3. One time at the end, Eric Gordon misses the free throw which would have put them up 4, and YABUSELE just fighting for it allowed them, like, Wizards knock it out of bounds and the Sixers retain possession. I mean, that's huge play. I mean, he comes down, he gets dunks, he dives for loose balls. He's not the ideal rim protector as a backup 5, but he has a big block on his fellow Frenchman, Bilal Coulibaly, at the end to seal the game pretty much.
That's a sick block. He gets up for a guy with an ass like that. Oh, come on, man. His ass doesn't quit.
He has little baby hooks inside. He had a baby hook over Valanciunas. He hard doubles off a Jared Butler when he was hot earlier in the game. Gets a turnover and a layup for Maxey. I mean, just the singular ideal of a role player. He can change his role. He can adapt to be what you need him to be. He's been unbelievable for the team this year. They would have not won a game without him.
He's by far their most consistent player.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I think so. It doesn't always, when all the guys are there, it doesn't always show up box score wise, where you're like, he's not always producing, but he's always giving effort and using his size in a way that's helpful, and hitting enough shots to be useful. I mean, 5-7 from deep. He's shooting over 40% on the year from 3. He moves the ball well. Him and Maxey have a really nice 2-man game. He finishes with a plus 16 in this one, which led the team. Like, he's just the best. He's just the best, dude. He kicks ass.
Eric Gordon has sort of come alive a little bit. He's in December or January. I think he's shooting now 46 or 47% from 3.
4 of 7 from deep in this one.
Yeah.
I was earlier in the season. He was, from the first 2 months or whatever, making no threes, but weirdly having success off the drive. And then, I mean, his handle's not like crazy tight, but he wasn't trying to do too much with it. But really, his game is, I hit threes.
Long threes.
And so then if you close out on me, I can drive and I have space to do so even without a super tight handle. He can hit shots in the mid-range. He can make the passes. He can finish enough around the rim. I had a really beautiful finish. Past Coulibaly, scooping under Valanciunas for an N1. Another drive where he draws the defense and whips it to YABUSELE for a corner 3. And then just hit threes. 4-7 from deep. Like, one time he got Bub Carrington to bite harder on a bad jab step than I've ever seen, and then hit a 3. The replay showed that he stepped on his foot a little bit, which is a cool move. I think that's a thing you should do more often. He plays in crunch time, which is like the first time that happened this season. Hits a big 3, gets fouled, goes 1 or 2 from the line. It was a really useful. I mean, they had nobody else. They just really needed him to do something, and he saved him with a couple big 3s. And I was coming in very negative about it because his off-ball defense truly is some of the worst defense I've ever seen played in an NBA game. Like, he falls asleep, doesn't look, turns his head. In the Suns game, it was just like putrid. It really is hideous stuff. And you expect veteran to like be good at that part of it at least. If he can't catch up to somebody, he can't move his feet, whatever. His on-ball defense is generally pretty fine unless there's a guard that's very fast trying to get by him. But his off-ball, I mean, it's been awful. He just falls asleep. He just like doesn't look, doesn't turn his head, doesn't know where he's supposed to be. And the Sixers as a team, which is why they kept this game close, just leaving way too many guys open. Just like constantly leaving guys open. Corey Kispert being left wide open. That's what he's going to do. He's going to shoot threes. And you're just like, he's just going to keep relocating to 3. And guys miscommunicating, all that stuff that happened in the Suns game also. It's just bad. Leaving guys open for 3 and also not providing enough help at the rim. It's just like, well, so what are we doing? So what is the defense? And it just wasn't very good.
The Rice Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by BodyBio. Go to bodybio.com. Use code Norman for 20% off anything you want. Anytime you want, as much as you want. Promo code Norman. But you write it down because it's not going to be on the website. It's not going to be in the description of the pod. We just say it. Fish Oil Plus is what I want to talk to you about. It is the only fish oil supplement you should be using. If you're using a fish oil supplement, once you get rid of it, throw it out, switch to Fish Oil Plus. Why? Higher quality. Fish oil has become wildly popular over the last 25 years. But there's only so much, right? So much like fish that you can get the oil from. So there's more shitty farm fish practices for fish oil production. There's a lot of competition. They cut corners. It's a low quality product. Rancid and oxidized fish oil products stick on the shelves. But by the way, not just get into the packages, but those products sit on the shelves of drugstores forever. Fish Oil Plus is like the opposite. They use wild herring caviar to source the fish oil and gently extract the nutrients. And every single batch that goes out from BodyBio is tested for heavy metals, mercury, oxidation, prolonged heat exposure, all that stuff. So you know you're getting the highest of high quality. It is the best option out there. About 25% more of the nutrients in Fish Oil Plus are going to be absorbed by your body than a standard fish oil supplement. So if you use a fish oil supplement, if your family does, if your friend does, get them to switch to Fish Oil Plus. It's just higher quality. It's better for you. And you're going to get more out of it. Go to bodybio.com, use code Norman for 20% off anything. That is bodybio.com, promo code Norman. Maxey, it's funny, like made some big plays down the stretch, and I feel like more and more people are starting to notice the, I guess, different temperament from him. And a lot of times feels like he's playing in his own game a little bit. The asking for calls and like sort of Embiid like asking for calls so long that he doesn't get back. And it felt like a lot of this game was that sort of Maxey. And I assume that it's just frustration. That's what's going on with him. But he has not, from a disposition standpoint, has not looked like a settled player. And I think it has affected his game as well.
No, I mean, not used to losing in this starting the season 3 and 14 and just like compounding that, definitely like positive level-headed attitude, at least on the court. It wasn't there. You could really see his frustration. He's shooting worse at the rim than he's ever shot in his career. But in this one, I was pleasantly, I mean, the three wasn't going in. It looked good. The threes didn't. It was 3 of 14, which obviously is bad. But they didn't seem like they were, aside from one that was way off, they seemed to have a decent, like coming off his hand decent, had a decent arc to it. He wasn't taking too many difficult shots. It felt a lot were catch and shoot that he normally makes, and sometimes they just don't fall. But I was pleased with a couple really tough finishes at the rim, two crazy reverse finishes that he hit between two guys. One he got an M1 at, one was towards the end of the game. I thought he finished around the rim really nice. I don't know exact numbers around the rim, but I thought it was much better than in previous games. And then late in the fourth, he blows by Kispert for a tough finish before the defense is set. That was huge. He had one step back along the baseline, probably like an 18-footer where he looked like Iverson. That was pretty cool. And he has been shooting well from three over the last 11 games. It's been over 40%, but it just wasn't falling for him in this one. But I've been looking at this point with Maxey, and I think his season's been so weird. Obviously, he's just been cold generally, but like playing by himself, playing with just Paul, playing with Paul and Embiid, like it's just hard to get into rhythm. And so taking his numbers on a broad sense are very tricky. Because there's so many different, like there's a lot of context in there that gets lost if you're just looking at like what is the final number so far. But I am generally just looking for him to force it less, and I think that means starting possessions earlier in the shot clock, so that if there's nothing there on the first action, that you have the opportunity to get a second action in there and get a decent look off, rather than like just crossing the half court line with 17 seconds left.
I don't understand. Is there a reason for that? Like, I don't get it. Like, what is the point of doing that?
I would say partly calming himself down. He runs a lot during the game. So maybe just a little bit of a break for himself. Okay. Honestly, for how many minutes he's playing, which I get. In that case, I would rather somebody else like bring the ball up, which sometimes that they do, whether it's Caleb Martin or whoever. But yeah, I think getting into their actions quicker, not even in a transitions thing, which they, nurses wants them to push when they can. They are last in the league in pace, or at least they were. I haven't checked today, but yeah, I think having Maxey be a little bit more judicious about the shots he's taking, so he doesn't feel like he has to take such difficult ones, I think would help him out. And I think he was doing that tonight, and the shots just didn't fall.
I also think like they do not have, even in their best form, they don't have a real point guard as a starter. But if you have Paul George and you have Joel Embiid, there's enough like sort of creation by committee, you would hope in the perfect version of this that you don't miss it. I think when they are missing one of those two guys, and I think that's probably why Nick Nurse wanted to start Lowry, is to not put the creation duties solely on Maxey, because he's just not. I just don't think it's what he's best at. And I think games like this occasionally, especially when he doesn't have it going from deep, are even more frustrating for him, because he's not in his natural role of just gunning, that he can do otherwise.
But I would say, I think it's truly the thing about Maxey for his whole career with the Sixers until this season was that he doesn't turn the ball over. And we were like, I kind of wouldn't mind if he turned the ball over a little bit more, because that would mean that he's trying to make passes that are interesting for him and that could work out, expand his game a little bit more, make him a more fully diverse player and a more difficult player to stop. And then this year, he's really turned the ball over a ton, more than he ever has by a long shot. And it's not.
He's only still at like 2.5 a game, though.
Well, look at the last stretch lately.
Okay. All right.
It's been there's fours, there's fives in there.
Yeah.
Tonight was only one, and it felt like that was intentional. And he's making like on ball turnovers. It feels primarily. It's not like he's throwing lobs that are getting picked or something like that. So I was happy to see that he took care of the ball, but also like moved the ball well. And I thought it was even though the shots didn't fall, I did think it was a good offensive game for Maxey.
I didn't think it was one of his worst, but it didn't strike me as a good offensive game. But they won it, and he did make big plays down the stretch, which I think helped. It was a good. Kelly Oubre, I think, has been.
I love him.
Pretty excellent this year. Overall. 4
assists tonight.
Yeah.
Don't know if you're tracking that.
I'm not.
Somebody has to. Spike. Yeah. I mean,
you.
I think it's me. I think it is me actually.
Yeah.
His strength on drives and how much he elevates around the rim off of it. It's such a stark. I think somebody said this on Twitter. I can't remember who said it, but it really it stands in contrast to PG like dancing with the ball and settling for like little like contested mid ranges, whereas Kelly is like asserting his will with physicality and like getting to the rim, and PG is sort of just like a little bit easing back and taking the defense's physicality and making himself like go like, well, I could hit this 19-footer with your hand in my face anyway, which he can, but that's still not a high efficiency shot, and it doesn't like make the defense feel you that much. And the defense was great, dude. Like a clever blindside steal on Valanciunas leads to a transition opportunity. A huge block of Valanciunas at the rim, which was sick. That was very fun. He is currently, at least per Kate Scott on the broadcast, second in the league in deflections per game. Kelly.
Wow.
Only to Dyson Daniels, who's having a ridiculous defensive year for Atlanta.
That feels impossible. Second in the league?
Second in the league per game. Length, getting in there, making plays. On ball, it's not just off. I think he like gets steals on ball too, which is sick. And he missed it. He didn't shoot well from 3 in this one. It just doesn't feel like he's ever going to shoot well from 3 unless all of Paul George, Maxey, and Embiid are there, and he gets like wide open looks he can just step right into. But he misses a 3. Yabusele gets the offensive rebound. Kelly cuts middle off of it and gets a huge dunk out of it off a great Yabu pass. It was great to see. I love Kelly Oubre, man. It's just what a my kind of player he is. And it's not, and I like a high IQ player, and he's not labeled as that. He's not labeled as that. And I would say, I would grant you, not always high IQ. Not always.
Yeah, but
enough.
This year he's been more high IQ even than last year, I think. Because we saw more bad Kelly last year. And it was a good Kelly Oubre year last year. But I think we saw more bad Kelly Oubre last year than we saw him this year. Would you agree?
Yes.
In terms of quantity, I would think so.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a weird year, obviously, but I think he's been great. Kelly Martin was fine. He's just like fine now. He's just like, I got it figured out. I hit 3 sometimes. I hit mid-range shots. He's really just become their Derek White.
Yeah.
He's not as good as Derek White. He's not as efficient as Derek White as a shooter, obviously. But he's versatile up and down the roster on every part of basketball. He can do something everywhere on the court, which is really helpful. And I thought he was good also. But it's just like a team thing. Like when they're missing their big guys, when they're missing Joel back there, Yabusele doing his best, but like they're not a lot of rim protecting. They gave up a shit ton of points in the paint. Jared Butler is awesome, and I do think if he was like 3 inches taller, he would be an all-star. He's just one of the most poised college players I've ever seen. I felt the same way about him in college that I felt about SGA in college. Now Shea has obviously gotten like crazy good in a way that I could not have possibly expected, but good stuff happens when the ball is in Jared Butler's hands. And it's crazy that he's on a two-way to me. I would trade for him. I think that he is an NBA player, and we should try to make that happen.
Can I guess another team can't just sign somebody who's a two-way player, obviously.
No, to trade for. I don't know exactly how the trade works. Like, could we trade Ricky Council on a standard contract for Jared Butler on a two-way?
I wonder if you would have to make his contract a
standard.
We're just guessing. Yeah. I have no idea.
I'm not sure. I don't know how it works. Someone will tell us.
Yeah. Well, and no one reached out to us to tell us that I was wrong, that Embiid and Paul George are not sitting around watching tape together. So no one's
okay. I would ask again that they reach out. Please tell me.
No one's written to me to correct that. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Mike, it is playoff time in the NFL. Playoff time. You gotta make all your picks at Draftkings Sportsbook. Eagles at this point -4.5 over the Packers. What are you thinking?
I feel pretty good. I know
Jalen did practice today. He can't get cleared until tomorrow, but he did practice today.
I know you've been getting heat for your Jalen opinions, but I just feel like they're a more complete team. They have better high-end talent than the Packers. And
have I been getting heat for my Jalen opinions?
Oh, I saw at least on Twitter more people saying I don't think Jalen is a top 3 quarterback in the league, but I do think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, and I'm happy going into these playoffs with Jalen.
I think I would rather have him than the 2 backups. My position is that the quarterbacks from like 7 to 14 are all sort of interchangeable depending on your personal taste and the year in terms of rating. And all I said today was that if Lamar Jackson has something to prove and Josh Allen has something to prove in the playoffs, so does Jalen Hurts.
He did get to a Super Bowl and
he did
perform enough to win the Super Bowl. That was not on him that they lost the game.
He's lost in the first round twice. He's 2-3 in the playoffs. His QB rating in the playoffs is 88. And the 2 games they did get to
2-3 in the playoffs.
He is, and And in fairness, they did get to a Super Bowl, but they beat the Giants and the Niners, who were on their 5th quarterback. So it was a pretty easy run, but he is 2-3. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying, like, if these other quarterbacks have to prove something, and they specifically designed the offense to have him not throw the ball after the bye week this year. So I'm just saying, I just want him to throw the ball a little bit better, show what he's got.
I want him to take fewer sacks.
Well, and his sack rate's like 10%, which is like 29th or 30th in the league.
That's like an easy clean up the easy stuff first. But I mean, I've seen Jalen make enough throws and make enough plays with his legs where I feel very confident with.
What do you like? I'm going to give you 3 bets on DraftKings.
Okay.
First, TD scorer. Saquon is plus 390. Hurts is plus 550. AJ is plus 800. Which one of those?
I think they're going to give it to. I think it's going to be Saquon. In like he didn't play last week, and this is why he didn't play last week.
Okay, all right. Maybe give him a 1 yard away instead of tush pushing it. Let's say.
Well, I wouldn't mind tush pushing it with him.
There's more chances that you fumble the snap if a non-quarterback's grabbing that ball.
That's fair.
I do think they should. Last thing on football, my position on tush push is it makes me nervous that the quarterback is in that play. I would just all fucking training camp teach a back or something, or a tight end to learn how to snap the ball.
I agree with that.
Push them. So, DraftKings Sportsbook is where you want to bet.
Especially now that they've proven they can do it with other guys.
Dude, that second Kenny Pickett tush push where they basically picked him up and threw him into the end zone. I thought,
let me do it. Pick me up, throw me in the end zone. I'll get concussed.
You could tell he wanted
I'd be great concussed.
So if you're going to make any of these bets, you do it at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can same game parlay any game that you want. Of course, you can bet on college basketball, pro basketball, the college football playoffs, all of that stuff, and something special for new customers. Bet $500 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make every day a game day with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code RTRS. That's code RTRS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. And thanks, DraftKings. Every time I ask them a question about a line, they go and they get the answer for me, Ethan. I wanted to know what the line would be if the Eagles played the Commanders, and he got it for me. What do you think the line would be if the Eagles played the Commanders? Because that was the other option.
5.5.
7.5.
Whew.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
More than I thought. Yeah. So do you have anything else on this game? Because I want to move on to the next thing.
I can rip through a couple quick ones.
Okay.
It was a good Ricky Council game. I've been giving Ricky.
There's 1-3 that wasn't good, but the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, there's always crazy stuff. But when Nurse does play him, Nurse is like, please, anytime you get a defensive rebound, take off. And he had a nice finish off an and one at the rim. He did miss a beautiful lob dunk from Maxey, which I am fine with. Let's establish that. Let's remove the stigma around missing dunks. We should encourage missing dunks. We should be pro missing dunks as a good attempt at physicality and asserting yourself. I appreciate Maxey making that pass. I appreciate Ricky going in and trying to end somebody's life. It didn't happen this time. It'll happen next time. All good. And then off of my encouragement of that from my living room, he had a grab and go and drove through the Wizards and threw down a big emphatic dunk, which was nice. And even hit a 40-foot jumper at the end of the third quarter.
Well, those are the threes I don't mind him taking, honestly.
Yeah, those are the only threes he's allowed to take. End of quarter, step back off the catch for some reason, where your feetsies are like kind of little together for some why that is your base. I don't know.
Did you just drop a feetsies?
I mean, it is really like get your feetsies together, Ricky. Like he doesn't. It's not like he's not square. Those are not feet. Those are not feet in that moment.
Those are feetsies.
Those are feetsies when you get them as close together as they are. Okay. But a good Ricky game. Always helpful when he attacks the offensive glass and makes plays. I always like him like that. The other guys, I thought Bona had a pretty good game. A couple nice blocks at the rim. He works hard. He's got to get stronger and more stable at his base.
Yeah.
The
stronger thing really shows in NBA games. By the way.
Well, he's a little bit wiggly. Yeah. I play with a guy who's like a soccer player and kind of just always on the verge of falling down. And he's tall. He's probably like 6'5" or 6'6".
Play like this. I don't play like that.
Sorry.
I didn't even see that coming.
I'm pretty
intense.
Mike playing basketball.
I'm in my prime. Honestly,
sign me. Yeah. So he's got. But he works hard. He's a decent passer for his size. He has solid hands when he rises up to high point a ball. He had 3 blocks, which is big. His touch from the free throw line indicates that there was maybe more possible coming, but he's just got to be a little bit sturdier. And that's over the next year or so. That's what's going to happen. But I thought the draft has already been successful. Obviously McCain, and then to get Bona as like a serviceable future backup center in the second round. And Justin Edwards has made a couple nice plays. He's just he looks like he belongs.
Yeah, I was going to say he can play in the NBA. He fits in a very comfortable way. Yeah. He doesn't do anything he's not trying to do, which I really appreciate. And seems like he's in the right spot at the right time. Has a very smooth jumper. I don't know. I like Justin Edwards.
Yeah, they didn't make enough shots as a team tonight. Their half-court offense was bad. They were kind of gifted a ton of turnovers from the Wizards. I'm just seeing this now that Jonas Valanciunas had 8 turnovers for some reason. That's impressive. Hard to do.
He's in on the tank.
And the refs were truly some terrible calls at the end that made Nick Nurse absolutely irate.
The double dribble almost. His head almost.
The double dribble is crazy. It's insane that you can't review that. It's like, well, the play continued. It's like, well. So review it and then say, yeah, he double dribbled, and then set
everything
the clock back
after it.
1.5 seconds. What? Why is this like the play? You can't do it. It's like the rules are made up. Everything's made up. We can just choose. It really is truly baffling that they're like, nah, no, you can't. Got to be letter of the law. Fuck the law, stupid shit. But yeah, they overcoming that was like to win that game. I thought they were going to lose it after like it showed some like stability and composure to win a game like that where everything was falling apart towards the end. So look, it was a bad game. Fuck them. They suck. I do think if anybody gets hurt, end the season, just call it. Why are we doing any of this? But if they are going to try to make a run at the playoffs or the play-in, then they have to just win games no matter what. And so close your eyes, see that they won, and call it a day.
Yeah. So Embiid was playing on this foot sprain, I guess, for 3 games, and then all of a sudden is announced that he's out for the Suns game. Paul George out with this game with a tweaked his groin or something. Not for nothing, but like you look at the number of players out in this game, and I don't think I've seen an NFL game with this many players out. McCain, like I said, Embiid, George, Drummond, Martin, Lowry, Jared McCain. That is 6 for the Sixers. And then Poole, Brogdon, Bagley, Bay, Vukovic, Johnny Davis, and Sarr. That is 7 for the Washington Wizards. I don't know.
It's definitely rare for it to be like this early. You see that in like March, April.
Yeah. Well, I think I
yeah.
saw about a month ago that the number of team games missed to injury so far this year in the NBA is like double what it was at the same point last year. I have no idea what's going on. And Embiid, with missing the Suns game, couldn't finish the play 10 games in a row, even if we don't count back to back, skipping.
I know. I was really being generous for him, and you think if he would have listened to that part of the podcast, he would have done it. But they did announce sort of that he's going to start maybe playing back to backs, or that they hope he will play back to backs.
I didn't see that. Who said that?
Nurse was saying like maybe some of the guys would be playing more because there's a lot of back to backs and tough ones
in January.
Yeah, and they just got to win
more games.
Basketball.
Well, I thought this email, like as you're saying, this came from Aaron. To write RickySanchez@gmail.com. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. First-time emailer. As I was driving home on Monday afternoon, I decided to check out the Sixers Suns injury report to find out if Oubre was playing. What do I find? Oh, Joel is now ruled out, and we've gone from 3.5-point favorites to 1.5-point underdogs. I knew at that point we were definitely losing, and of course we did, by double digits, no less. I'm a diehard Sixers fan, and I've gotten into many heated verbal battles with friends defending Joel, citing how our team just hasn't gotten all the pieces together, bad injury luck, tough matchups. Through it all, I've always believed that our time during this Embiid era was coming, convinced we'd have a title possibly this year. Since I have 2 young kids, throughout the Embiid era, my process has been to DVR Sixers games on League Pass, avoid checking the score, then watch later after they've gone to bed. Since the brutal end of last year's regular season and start to this one, I no longer have the stomach to go through the frustration that comes along with rooting for this team. I don't have the ability to recalibrate my expectations. I still have that instinct in my gut that we're a contender, so watching the games has become a hate-watching experience. I can't not watch, but actually watching causes a visceral reaction from me. Recently, I started just checking the score to see if we won. Then I'll watch. Yes. I made the mistake of watching the Kings and Warriors games live and was disgusted. Yeah.
Can't.
So when I saw Embiid was out versus Phoenix, I came to the realization that it's never going to happen with this bunch. I thought that this roster would be able to stay afloat and give more rest for Embiid, but alas, that is not the case. As such, I'm not DVRing any more Sixers games for the foreseeable future. I'll check the score and I'll listen to the pod, but I can't go through the aggravation of, is Joe going to play tonight or will our team show up at all? Anyway, I just needed to vent. Love the pod. Thanks for doing it.
You definitely don't have to watch the games live. I really strongly encourage you to not watch them live.
Yeah, DVR.
Then you see if they won. Even if they lost, you could maybe
speed through it,
or just watch highlights of like Gershon Yabusele highlights from Sixers 9-point loss to Sacramento, like whatever. And then you'd be like, oh, seems like the guy I liked played well. I feel good about that. No, it's
I don't blame you.
No, you can't.
Yeah, as long as you listen to pod.
We have to do the podcast. Yeah. When we do a podcast, when we do a game right afterwards, it is such a different experience.
Yes.
Because you have to watch it, you have to. I'm right in there.
Yeah.
And then I have to immediately, and be taking notes and immediately be ready to like
shoot off
present
takes.
myself to the public,
Yep.
where anything I say forever can be clipped and played back at me. And I can't be like, well, I had to watch it live. Sir, you don't understand. I had to watch the game live. I shouldn't be allowed to do that right after watching it live. But
Speaking of clipped, I take my hat off for 5 minutes. I have all sorts of hat hair last time. And CJ does his 2 clips from the pod, picks both of them from that section of the pod with my hair looking bad. It felt like purposeful.
Section.
It felt purposeful, CJ. I felt like you were shaming me.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the pod and I'm waiting for the moment that you reveal your hair so I can expose you to.
I do. As soon as he takes his hat off, I do see CJ mouth, got him.
The Rights to Wiki Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction. Do yourself a favor. Download the Briggs Auction app in Google Play or the App Store. Briggs Auction, Briggs. Because they have all 9 auctions every week. They are in Delco. They're a 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house. But as I always say, Briggs Auction is the home of shit you did not know that you needed until you saw it. Art, collectibles, furniture, vintage clothing, like some really cool high-end stuff, some stuff that starts at $1 that you never knew you needed. And here is CJ's Briggs Auction item of the week.
Yeah, so me as a video person, I've always been really interested in the latest and greatest in photo, video tech. However, my friend within the last year has gotten really into film photography. He picked up some cheap camera at a estate sale, and he's produced some of my most favorite photos from this year with that camera. So I looked on Briggs and I saw this, the Kodak Instamatic X15F. It's going for 7 beans right now. They stopped making this in 1988. I looked up earlier. There's a sealed roll film. I don't know
That's
if it'll
pretty
work.
fucking cool looking little camera there.
But like, if you can just get some film, pop it in here, this could look really cool. Obviously, it's like a cool vintage item, but the photo quality that it could produce from being aged so long could be very cool.
And there are still places that you can go to get film developed, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't know. There used to be, back before you, there used to be these little like photomat places that were in a parking lot that was like a 10 by 10 foot little store that you could go get it developed at. But I don't see those anymore. So I didn't know you could do it. I had to develop film in college. I was not very good at it. In any case, download the Briggs Auction app. Maybe just go to the website. I have the app. I'm more of a website man. I just go to the website and check in every week. This auction ends on January 10th. There's usually one a week. If you win an item, there's open pickup on Saturdays. You can make an appointment for during the week. They can work with a trusted shipper, send it to you if that's your deal. And if you have a bunch of stuff to auction off and you don't know where to go, well, go to Briggs Auction. Our friends at Briggs Auction, send an email to info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. So in the last pod, you may remember, we found out that Andrew Unterberger was on Pop Culture Jeopardy. And he was dressed like a hitman, a mob hitman in a movie. Get in the car, as Mike said. That was what he was dressed like. So CJ went and put together, and I haven't seen any of this, a supercut of AU highlights from Pop Culture Jeopardy. I think this is a must watch, not just a listen. Here you are. Here are the clips. I'm sure we're going to get a copyright strike for this, but it is worth it. The clips of AU in Pop Culture Jeopardy.
Andrew, Victor, and Weber are the Twisted Misters.
We are going to meet our teams. We're starting with Twisted Misters, and I understand this is not your first time on a pop culture trivia stage.
No, this is actually not our first rodeo here. We did a similar show on VH1 called The World Series of Pop Culture. About 17 years ago, we played as the Twisted Misters then.
We're Twisted Misters from New York. I can unequivocally say that we are the greatest collection of pop culture minds in the Western Hemisphere.
You know, literally the first day, we were supposed to meet all the other contestants and introduce ourselves, and I said, hey, we're the Twisted Misters. We're the team that's going to beat everyone. And they all booed us. And,
And would you like to make yourselves villains again here right now?
Maybe after the first one.
Okay, yeah, let's get one under your belt.
Yeah. Then the arc will continue, our heelish.
That's right. That's what all villains say. Let me warm up. Thank you, guys. Good luck. On Cheers, everybody knew this George Wendt character's name and shouted it when he entered the bar. Andrew.
What is Norm?
Yes.
80s, 2000, please.
A little acting there.
Yeah, wow. Did they win this, or do you not want to give it away, CJ?
I don't want to give it away. Episode 13, Amazon Prime. Check it out. I'm sure they'll copy.
Wow.
Strike this anyway.
A tease.
And they did win the the World Series of Pop Culture Trivia or whatever. And I have been told that the trophy for that is enormous, as big as the smallest guy on the Twisted Misters. So, by the way, AU with the long hair and the sleeveless Union Jack T-shirt,
Beautiful.
like he's in Def Leppard or something.
Looking at that, the thought did cross my mind just now that like AU's been alive forever. He's never, there's a vampiric timeless quality to AU where he's just been the exact same in every generation of just a slight tweak of it.
Almost like a vampire.
Yeah, I think he would absolutely do great on What We Do in the Shadows. I think he would have been perfect there. Man, AU.
Yeah.
What a thing to keep to yourself.
I know. It's like, why didn't you just tell us? You were on a TV show. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
We could have made everyone watch it. We could have done a watch party for it, but no, he just hides it. This came from Mark from writesRickySanchez@gmail.com. Basketball question. Which team in this era of Sixers playoff basketball, i.e. 2017 and onwards, have you hated the most? I never thought I would hate a team more than the Horford-Richardson team, but this team is almost certainly a worse hang. I really hate this team. They're awful to watch. They have basically no redeeming qualities. I don't care if Paul George is an upgrade over Tobias. He is also awful to watch. The worst part is they're making me hate the players I usually love. Maxey looks terrible and whiny, and I am so sick of Embiid's nonsense. I want to barf every time I look at him, which I guess is merciful, not that often because he barely ever plays. So, Mike, which Sixers team of the process playoff era do you hate the most?
The process playoff?
Yeah.
I think you got to say the Horford one. I think that's pretty clear.
More than this one? I guess we don't even know if this is a
I think
playoff
this
game.
one, because you could look, let's be slightly generous. Like, you read the list of guys that are injured.
Yes.
And that's already in the place of Daryl keeping a roster spot open for financial flexibility between now and the deadline. And knowing that he's going to make some sort of move at the deadline to make the team better. So it's already an incomplete team. Embiid's been hurt and then suspended. PG has had injuries, which is to some extent you could foresee that stuff. McCain was a beautiful blessing, and then he's out for an extended period of time. KJ Martin's been out. Andre Drummond's been out. Even Maxey had some injury situations.
This team might be more of a bummer than the 1920 team, but I don't hate them as much.
No, this is definitely more of a bummer.
Yes, yeah.
This is definitely more. No, sorry. The Al Horford team was the biggest bummer that could possibly imagine.
More than this team?
I think absolutely. This team, because you could make excuses for it. And that team, it was like, oh my God, we traded. The Celtics did a psyop on us 2 years after doing a different psyop on us for Fultz. And Horford is here forever. And his vibe is so repugnant that he's making Embiid upset. Embiid is visibly depressed. That was the first year on court where you could see Embiid effort-wise be like, oh, I'm sad, so I will play less hard. And we've seen a little bit more of that now, especially as he's gotten older and taking care of his body more and dealt with more like depressing injuries and stuff. But that was really the first year where that happened. I think it's pretty clear that was the bigger bummer. This team probably, if they suck it up and never have, like, next year or whatever, a run, that would be the most disappointing team.
Right.
We're here for that because you get the cap space. Paul George comes here, miraculous, like first real guy to decide to come to Philadelphia since Jim Thome, or I guess Harper. I don't know why I went back to Thome, but
Well, Thome was a pretty landmark.
Thome was a big one.
Yeah.
At the time. But and if he just like they truly do nothing, if they never do anything and the injuries as an excuse kind of go away and become like, well, yeah, that's the team you built, then I think that would be more disappointing. But I think as far as bummers go, I think that was number one and will always be.
The non-basketball question, this is very Seinfeld. What's the deal with states in the United States? Do people feel a lot of pride about living in whatever state they live in? Are there rivalries between neighboring states? Does each state have a distinct and defined culture, or does no one really care about states? Let me know, please.
People definitely care. I think they probably care too much.
They don't care. So I think it's an interesting dynamic because I don't think anyone in Philly cares about being in Pennsylvania.
No.
But I think the rest of Pennsylvania cares about being in Pennsylvania.
Probably. Jersey is a state thing.
Yes.
Philly is a city thing. California is a California thing, actually.
I was going to say it's big, but it is a California thing.
Yeah, which is also bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact in a city you can be like, or a town, you could be like, hey, this is the particular vibe of this place. And I think in any given state, they're all, the difference between rural and urban or like north and south or whatever is so different that it truly has like nothing to do with it. And so I don't know. I don't even think like states should exist. Just like cities, cities. We don't need them.
But what if
I haven't thought too hard about this, but
okay,
I'm
right.
gonna go with it.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Yeah. I don't want to press on it.
Yeah, I mean the idea of like Los Angeles being in the same, the area above San Francisco is
what happens to me.
Well, you're like
I don't live in a city.
Well, you're in your town, which is near in America.
Yeah,
which is near New York.
Right, but like then who's the boss of me?
You be your own boss, man. You don't have a boss. The boss. You think of the governor as your boss?
No, I mean like who's gonna like fix the road?
Counties. You could do counties and stuff.
Okay. All right. It sounds like more. Well, whatever. Yeah.
It's like too many levels. You don't need them. Get out of here.
Can I? Before we have one quick, and I know you got to get out. So I had one quick Sixers thing and then one quick emails thing. The quick Sixers thing is about Paul George. He is getting shit on a lot. And he has not been very good this year. But I do not watch him, and think this guy is cooked, ever. And I actually just think his failure is a symptom of the overall failure of the team. I was looking at his numbers, right? His shooting percentage is the same as Maxey. His 3-point percentage is the same as Maxey. He's averaging 1 less assist than Maxey, 2 more rebounds than Maxey, same amount of steals as Maxey. Now, Maxey's not having a great year. He's not having a good year even. But I also I don't look at him and go, oh, there's something wrong. I just sort of feel like the entire situation is fucked. And I guess I know people are upset and they want to put it on somebody or something. I'm curious whether you feel the same way. I don't watch Paul George and think, oh no, I can't believe we have him for 4 more years. Like,
no, I definitely don't feel that.
Look cooked to me. He looks mostly
I definitely don't feel that because
I
think his defense, like his defense has been better than expected. And that is the biggest issue as far as can this person like survive on court.
Mm-hmm.
And him being as good at defense as he still is, and the threes that if he takes open threes, they're going to go in. The problem has been like, and this is what I was saying before about like the context with Maxey, like Paul George has not had many games, maybe 1 or 2 that he has not played with neither of Embiid or Maxey. Whereas Maxey has had several games, maybe a dozen or something, where he has had to play without either of the other 2 guys. And so that naturally is going to make his shot selection worse and make his, percentages go down.
Right.
And so I don't tend to look at that as much. Maxey seems like kind of just a rut and some bad decision making here and there. I agree that Paul George isn't cooked, but I am, as everyone said that I would be, frustrated by some of his decision making, because he plays so relaxed that it affects the kinds of shots he gets. And he has chosen to take just a ton of bad contested shots. And that's why I was frustrating after the game. The Sixers Adam tweeted a Nick Nurse quote out saying like, yeah, Paul George's shots didn't go in, but we like those shots still. And it's like, no, dude, like you don't want Embiid already. Embiid is obviously an incredible mid-range jump shooter. He like leads the league in like volume and percentage from the nail, which is obviously his spot. But to have a full team where Paul George is also taking those kinds of tough mid-range contested shots it's just not. You can't survive that in a modern NBA. And so the threes, yeah, I would love for him to keep taking catch and shoot threes. I do think that those are going to fall. The occasional step back, he shoots it high, fine, and he's always on balance in them, which I like. But I just need him to get to the basket more, and that's the difference. Is that Maxey is getting to the basket, where he's got to get better at drawing fouls. I think he's been like, unfortunately dealt a bad whistle a lot of the times, and hopefully he'll figure that out, and the refs will start giving him those calls. But Paul George needs to at least drive to the rim because he's finishing well around the rim.
Sure.
When he gets there, he's finishing well, whether it's a couple dunks here and there, a couple like really impressive scoop with English, that kind of thing. Like, I want him to just do it more. And it's the sort of like laissez-faire, lackadaisical attitude towards getting the best possible shot. That is making me frustrated. But I'm definitely not ready to say he's cooked, and I'm definitely not dreading the next few years, because he's way better than Tobias at defense. He's way better than Tobias as a catch and shoot threat, even just for spacing purposes. The way that the defense
moves the
him.
ball better.
He moves the ball better, even though occasionally he'll have some Danny Green brain fart stuff. But to me, that's the thing. Is like, as you age into your mid to late 30s, when you'll be here, like, are you really never going to get to the rim? And if you're going to get to the rim so rarely, then like, what? I'd rather him like take Robert Covington shots,
right?
Just be a catch and shoot
spot
guy.
up 3-point shoot.
Yeah,
shots. Yeah. Final thing, and I would need to know this answer too. We got an email from Chris in Pennsauken, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. And Chris says, "Hey there, a few months ago, Mike said something along the lines of, quote, just unplug the Xbox, throw it in the snow. That seems like an awfully specific and has been bugging me for a while."
I don't remember it, to be
Has
clear.
Mike actually thrown an Xbox in the snow in a fit of gamer rage? What was the deal with that?
I probably threw an Xbox in my friend's basement controller into outside before
in the snow.
And I imagine it's all, it's a lot of snowy conditions.
Yeah.
Or at least I threatened to do it a lot. I don't really remember. But no, I don't. I was just painting a picture, I guess. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right. Well, we will talk to you this weekend. Go Birds. We do a pod before the playoff game, right? Yes.
Yes. Hopefully things will be much more calm at that point. We have some friends that are evacuating that are going to come stay with us for the night.
And
scary stuff.
For anybody that's out there, as I mentioned in the filter, and my brother and my sister live in West Hollywood. So
yeah, that's where our friends are evacuating from right now.
Yeah.
So you might want to check on them.
I did. He said I said, "Are you leaving?" And he's like, "No, I need to stay for the looting." So I'm going to try him again now and see what he's choosing to do. Though I would respect his decision for everything. If it gets bad, I don't know if you're going to be able to loot anything though. So
yeah, a lot of ash to loot.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. Like